Yes, thank you, Mrs. Ryan.
Well, good evening, everyone. I see we've packed the house here again tonight for our first budget presentation. I am glad to be able to kick off the 2015-16 budget discussion with the presentation tonight. What I'd like to first do is just to start with the current year's budget and just to illustrate to you when we'll be going over various sections of the budget. So you see the slide that's in front of you. You see that you've got areas of yellow. Today is February 5th, and those are the areas of the budget which we will be discussing tonight. The general support areas, people transportation, community services, employee benefits, debt service, our special education transfer, and tax certiorari payment. Okay, those are those areas. Instruction in the middle is going to be discussed on March 5th. And then we'll come back on March 19th to put a summary of the budget together and talk about revenue and good things like the tax levy and tax cap. Okay, so first some financial facts with regard to Massapequa Schools as an overview. We've been engaged in financial planning now for the better part of 15 years. And that financial planning has enabled us to prepare cost-effective and efficient budgets, to reduce our annual borrowings and the interest costs associated with those annual borrowings. I'll speak briefly about that in greater detail in a moment. We've implemented computerized accounting systems, and we've significantly improved internal controls. The board adopted its first financial plan in January of 2000. Then in 2008, the board then updated its financial plan, and currently we are working with the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee to update the plan once again. We're anticipated to bring that revised plan to the Board of Education in April of 2015. So with regard to implementing that financial plan, bringing us to the second point, we have been able to fund reserve accounts and something called fund balance, and have a balance and adequately fund the operations of the school district through cash flow. And that's definitely an important point. It has made us in good standing, or has put us in good standing, on a report that the New York State Comptroller's Office has released. And this is a report, it's the third year that the Comptroller has come out with this report. It's called the Fiscal Stress Monitoring Report. So the Comptroller is looking at 672 school districts statewide and making a determination based on the financial strength of the school district whether they are in fiscal distress. There are this year 90 school districts of the 672 in New York State in fiscal distress, or about 13% in fiscal distress. On Long Island alone, out of 124 school districts, there are 19 school districts that are in fiscal distress, or about 16%. So I'm here to tell you that if we had not implemented this financial plan, there is no question that right now we would be in fiscal distress. And certainly a credit to the Board of Education, to the superintendents in this district, since over the last 15 years that this financial plan has been in place, and that we are in pretty good shape financially. It's also enabled us to improve our Moody's credit rating, and we're currently a AA2 rated school district. And what that means for us is we're going to be going out with a bond issue, to sell a bond issue that the community approved back in October. So it's going to guarantee that we're going to get one of the absolute best and most competitive interest rates when our fiscal advisors go out on Wall Street and they sell school bonds of Massapequa Public Schools. I'm hoping, because of the improvement that we have made, that we might be able to bring this AA2 rating to a AA1. We started off 15 years ago with a single A3, and we moved up 4 to 5 levels. I'm hoping that we'll be able to go to a AA2 only furthering to improve the cost that we get. So, how do we spend our resources? Well, we spend it in the right place. We spend 80.5% of our resources, of the money that the community allows us to spend on student programs, followed up by 12% on facilities and capital improvements, maintaining 90 school buildings and about 140 acres of athletic fields, and then 7.5% on administration. And of that spending, how do we fare in Nassau County? I think anyone who's been here before and seen these presentations, you've seen me do this report before. This is an update to something called the Annual Study of School Costs. It's a report that is put out by Nassau BOCES each year. It's reflective, the chart is reflective of the per pupil spending of each one of the K through 12 of 41 school systems in Nassau County. And you can see that Massapequa, I believe, is 8th from the bottom, which some people might say, well, maybe we need to spend a little bit more money, but I say that we're spending the money very, very efficiently. You can see that in the county, the highest spending school district, which is Locust Valley, at least in 2013-14, spent just less than $36,000 per student, and we're at the $23,756 level. And with regard to the median average in the county, you can see that we're approximately $3,500 to $4,000 below the median spend. And sometimes when we presented this report, people in the audience have asked questions and said, well, that's all good, but you know what, because you're such a large school system, there's what's something called economies of scale. So the reason you only spend, relatively speaking, a small amount is because you're so large. Well, what I did was I looked at the school systems in Nassau County that had 6,000 students or more. We're one of them. We have about 7,200 students. And I looked at them. And the average spending in those 8 school districts on a per pupil basis is about $1,500 a year more than what we spend. So if you took our 7,000 student population and multiplied it by that average, that difference, you still have a budget to be an average of those 8 that's $10.5 million more than the budget that we have. So again, comparing it with similar districts, we're pretty efficient spending school system. We also look and take that total spending and disaggregate the general support spendings illustrated out on the BOCES report. And you can see, again, on a per pupil basis, how we are the 5th lowest spending, the 6th lowest spending school system in Nassau County when it comes to general support, which would be central administration and all the areas, facilities, general support. And so I did the same thing with those 8 districts. They spend about $400 a student more than we do on average on general support. So the general support budget, if we were spending the average of the large districts in Nassau County, would be about $2.7 million higher than what we currently have. So again, demonstrating that that we are definitely spending efficiently with regard to the rest of our county. Another piece of information. Another piece of information deals with student enrollment. And we know for the last number of years that Massapequa's student enrollment has been shrinking, not as a result of anything that we're doing, but as a result, pretty much countywide, we can see throughout the state that the live birth rate in communities has been less over the last 10 years than it had been in the previous 10 years. So we're currently at 7,240 students. We're anticipating that next year we'll have 7,126 students, or a decrease to about 114. And then the following year, 16, 17, we're looking at further reduction, maybe getting under 7,000 students for the first time in many years. Just for historical information, I believe our lowest year was 1992, where the district had about 6,600 students. So we're still a little bit from that, but maybe the trend will reverse itself beyond 2016-17. That's always a possibility. All right, now getting into some of the costs as it relates the 2015-16 budget. You know, over the last 10 or 12 years, I presented to the community, to the Board of Education, and one of the main drivers in the school district budget has always been rising pension costs. Well, I'm pleased to report to you that based on information that we have gotten from both retirement systems, that the pension costs, after reaching a high, or I should say a recent high this year, of, at least for the TRS, of 17.53%, that rate is going down to 13.26%. It's about a 24% decrease in the rate. So what does that do to our school district budget for 2015-16? And as you can see, we have a reduction of almost $3.6 million in the pension cost line, and the pension systems line, as a result of the rate decrease. I anticipate, because the investments that the retirement system have been getting have been pretty good, definitely above their target rate of return of 8.5%, that this rate moving beyond 15 and 16 will probably continue to decline. Again, a good thing for school district budgets in an era of tax cap. Moving on to health insurance. Health insurance is up a little bit. It's up about 3.6%, although we have a provision for 8% increase in the budget. The reason it's up 3.6 is because the cost increase this year came in less than we had anticipated when they told us it was going to be, so we can use some of the expenditure base that's in this year's budget to help with next year's budget. So that is an increase. In the area of utilities, gas, electric, fuel oil, we are just finishing completing up what's called an energy performance contract. Actually, the second one that the school district has obtained. We have 8 of our 9 schools being able to fire on natural gas, saving us not only cost when it comes to the efficiency of firing on natural gas from a cost standpoint, but also the greenhouse gases that the school district is emitting. You're probably not smelling that diesel fuel smell on a cold morning, as you may have in the past, and the black smoke coming out of our chimneys because we're burning natural gas. The school that's remaining is the Lockhart School. And in Lockhart School, under the bond issue that you folks approved, there's replacement of the entire heating system, the boiler, and once that's done, that school will be firing on natural gas. So we were able to take out almost $160,000 out of the budget. Contractor transportation is another area where our transportation director has done an excellent job in streamlining the program and making some recommendations. We're able to take $270,000 out of the contractor transportation line. District-wide security, an increase of $50,000. You may recall the door alarm, door alert system that the school district put in this year. That is being monitored by the security guard at the telephone center. That's representative of an additional cost for that, plus some additional costs for security throughout the district as it pertains to special events, etc., that we just historically used from year to year. The unemployment insurance line is recommended to go down by $175,000. That's another good news story that you can infer that the district is not looking to excess, less and less as a result of budgets coming low and even for staff. District meetings. District meeting in the school district is not this meeting, but it's the meeting is the vote. That's technically the district meeting. We have to add $34,000 to that line. You may recall a few years ago, about 5 or 6 years ago, when they threatened to take away the old voting machines, the old lever voting machines, and put in computerized voting machines. Well, 5 years ago, it was determined that we could use the old lever machine for several more years, but that is going to be coming to an end in May of 2016. And so districts will have to go with computerized voting, where we'll have to apply a ballot, and we'll have to rent computerized voting equipment from whomever. And so, it's something that our district clerks just can't wait to undertake, but we have to add $34,000 to the budget to take care of ballots and equipment. And then finally, building inspections. That line is up in the facilities department by $50,000, only because in next year we have to do our 5-year building condition survey, something that is required by New York State to perform, and so the following year that 50,000 will be taken out again, because it's only a 5-year requirement. Overall, in this section of the budget, for the first time in 15 or 16 years, I'm able to say that this part of the budget is being reduced by almost $2.7 million, or 3.39%. Again, you see the factors that significantly contribute to that reduction. And so with that said, on the following pages of this presentation, and what was posted online, is the line-by-line budget. And I would be glad to go through that line-by-line budget as you go.
Okay, how we normally do this, we go page by page, and we'll ask our comments and questions to Mr. Adcock. We're going to start with the first page of the general support budget, which has the Board of Education up on the top of the page. Are there any questions from board members? If you can state your line number and your question. I have a question on line 6 and 7. I know we're talking about that has to do with the changeover in the vote.
Yes,
on the voting machine. Now that's a mandate that we have to change. Are we getting any additional funding from New York State for that mandate?
No, we've been now directed that this vote year will be the last year that we'll be able to, residents can go in and flip a switch and pull a lever. And the following year, in the budget that we're discussing now, we're going to have to buy a ballot for each registered voter in the community, and rent equipment, computerized equipment for your school.
Thank you. And on line 16 of the Business Administration Finance, on the contractual expenses there, it's a bit. I just had a question, because when you look in the 2014 actual, and then when you look at the 2014-15 budget, there was a substantial decrease. You originally started out at $91,904, and then we went down to $27,000, and now we're putting in the budget $27,000 again for this year. Can you just explain what that line is for?
Sure. The reason you see that 91,000 has to do with a company that we hire on as the board approves each year of the organization. We hire on an as-needed basis. It's a company called School Aid Specialists. What they do is they review our state aid claim, and if there's any additional opportunity to get state aid for the school district, they get it for us, and then they charge a fee of, say, 10 or 12% of what it is. So we don't budget for school aid specialists because it's on an as-needed basis, and any payment that we make to them is supported by additional state aid that the school district is getting. So the actual cost as it pertains to the operation of the business office is in the $27,000 range, and anything above that would be as a result of this contractor that comes in again, that their fee is offset by additional state aid.
Okay, but this is the gross amount of the cost, not the net?
It's the gross. This is the gross amount of the cost, not the net amount.
Okay, so we would have gotten a return. We would have gotten a greater return.
Yes, we would have gotten much more, not much more, we would have gotten, if they get a fee of 15%, then we would have gotten 85% more, and we would have however much state aid they got. So the cost offsets the additional state aid coming in.
Okay, that's the current formula, 85-15.
I have the contract, and again, part of the organization, but I can certainly get you what their contract was for.
Okay.
But it's not something that we budget for.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions on page 1? Okay, we'll move along to page 2. That is the page beginning with the audit and the financial reporting. Are there any questions from board members? question on line 23 on the legal services.
Yes.
If you can explain it.
Again, the increase is just based on caseload. That can vary from year to year. Also, what goes into that line are any settlements or judgments that the school district may make on a year-to-year basis. So again, looking at the case history, I felt that we needed an additional $50,000 in that line. Again, that varies from year to year based on the cases that may come to the school district.
Okay. And on line 27.
Yes, 27 is actually that the legal costs associated with non-employee related matters are in line 23, but in line 27 is legal matters pertaining to district employees. So again, that increase of $25,000 based on case history.
Okay, the amounts that we're recommending for this year, because we don't have the actual for 2014-15 so far, but they're in line
That's right.
with the 2014 year to date.
Typically, yes.
Okay. Okay, are there any other
Those
questions?
lines on the screen, it's only up to 8.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
There we go.
sorry about that.
So we're talking about, this is the legal line for non-employee related matters, and then in line 27 is a provision in that line for employee related matters.
Do you want to leave that up for a couple of minutes? You need to take notes? Okay. One line, on the public information line, this is primarily public information, the contract that we have with BOCES.
Yes. You see BOCES services, that has to do with the public information service to National BOCES, which takes care of the copy and print of district publications.
Okay. And this is for the PR person, also
Yes.
the public relations person looking at.
Yep.
Are we going to have to bid on the BOCES service at all?
Well, BOCES, because BOCES is a regional school district, it's not biddable, so to speak. We have not put out an RFP, but with regard to purchasing the service from BOCES, particularly where aid is going to get a return on aid, there's no bid associated. It's already supposed to be bid by BOCES.
What's the current percentage that we get with BOCES?
We get about 40% aid back on 40% of return in state aid.
Okay, and I know in years past we talked about that potentially with the New York State budget, that would waiver, but that has stayed at 40%.
Yes.
It has waived.
Yes, they have not, this year with state aid, it's anyone's guess, since our governor is not releasing the state aid for school districts. But I have heard no conversation with regard to BOCES aid.
Okay. Thank you. Is everybody finished with the slide? We can move on? Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Can you just continue the statement you were just making in regards to the information not coming from opening that state?
Sure. Typically in January, the governor of the state of New York comes out with a state speech and presents budget, the New York State budget. Attached to that New York State budget is his recommendation, or her recommendation for school aid throughout New York State for each one of the school districts. Our governor has a list of goals that he would like to achieve with regard to public education. And what he has done is, instead of releasing aid numbers to schools, he has actually held that aid number back and not release state aid numbers until each one of his goals are approved by the legislature, and or the board of regents. So I think we're kind of in an unprecedented situation. I can't recall in 24 years in working in the school district administration that districts have ever had state aid runs held back from them with regard to political initiative.
Has the school district received communication directly from Albany in that regard?
We have received communication from what's called the State Aid Planning Service. We submitted that. There's a BOCES in upstate New York that we contract with that runs the State Aid Planning Service, and basically has confirmed exactly what I'm saying, that the state aid runs are being withheld from school districts until political initiatives of the governor are accepted by the legislature and the regions. The only number that they have released is the building aid number for next year, because that number is, and they only realize this after, I guess, colleagues brought this to their attention, that you need that building aid number to calculate the tax cut. So that initiative certainly does not want that initiative for West End.
So that would put districts in a difficult position, not knowing in terms of budgeting what your state aid, because we were talking about the budget is right now proposing the state budget $1.1 billion of an increase in aid to school districts.
Yes.
But now can we foil the runs?
Well, they're at this point they're not foiled because they have not been released by the executive office. So again, those runs and that aid proposal gets formalized once the legislature, once the Senate and Assembly then vote on a budget for the state of New York, and the governor and signs that budget into law. And you know the April 1st date that I'm pleased to say that they have stood by for the last 2 or 3 years. As it gets closer to April 1st, we'll see what happens with the goals of the governor and the state aid for school districts and how that manifests itself.
So for our planning, what state aid number are we using?
We've been advised to use the current year's state aid as a barometer for state aid. So again, we're not up to that discussion yet. That will take place in March, but in the planning process, I utilize the current year's state aid number as our state aid number for next year. And once we have that direction from New York State, we'll then change that.
Okay. Well, let's hope that we get, in the interest of transparency, that we get that information.
It certainly would be nice to, for the governor and the Senate and Assembly to give us back our gap elimination money, adjustment money. It's several $1 million that they have been withholding from Massachusetts schools for the last 5 years. It adds up to quite a lot of money, probably $19 million over the last 5 years, and that's money that has come off this district's state aid run to help the state of New York with their own budget deficits. So, again, it's money that we're entitled to, and they should be addressing that before anything else.
Agreed. Okay, any other questions on that page? Okay. We're going to move on to the next page, which starts with the heading Facilities and Security Services. Are there any questions from the board members? Mrs. Bishop?
Ms. Adcock, on line 37, what is the additional staff that we receive in the security area there?
Well, we have, during the day now, we have, during the school day, we have someone that on staff, a security guard on staff at the Hawthorne Center that is working with our door access system to monitor screens and alert schools of any unauthorized access from our schools during the school day. That's part of that, but certainly that's not $50,000. The reason it's 50 is because historically we're actually spending to a little bit of a higher level when it comes to security, and the security that we put at district-wide events and so forth has been successful here. So that's the reason for that increase of $50,000.
Okay, so besides that personnel you just mentioned, you're just looking to hire additional security people?
No.
Or just...
No, we're looking to put an appropriation there for the level of security that we actually use.
Also, the security officers, with the addition of the door alarms, the silent door alarms within the elementary schools, we're having those monitored.
Yes.
Right, so that's monitored during the day, in 24 hours.
reach?
Yes, we have a person at commencement.
That will monitor that.
I have a question on line 43. There's an increase on that line.
Yes, that increase has to do with the 5-year building condition survey. I mentioned in the previous slide, and again, that is a once in 5 years, so for a year from now, that 50,000 will not be there.
How could that go in next year? Maybe 16, 17.
Yes.
And my question on here also is line 57 in the general insurance line. I know we talked about the increase in the health insurance.
Yes, general insurance has to do with general liability policy for the school district, for all facilities. We have a comprehensive insurance policy from NYSER. I'm waiting to get some better information from them to possibly bring this down a little bit. So you may find that I reached out to them for some information as it pertains to the 2015-16 policy and a better number to see if we can bring this down.
Can we go after the office?
Well, I don't know that going out there is going to save us money. With regard to NYSER, we did try that. There was a point in time when the school district did do that. We did for a short period of time receive some low pricing. However, once the insurance company saw that low pricing was, cost them more, the premiums escalated significantly and went back to NYSER. So NYSER is the dominant insurer in New York State for our schools.
Are there any other questions from board members on that page? Okay, I'm going to move along to the next page. Is everybody seeing that okay? Is it moving? Okay, the next page is starts with people transportation. It goes from line 150 to 159. Are there questions from board members?
Yeah. I'm sorry, on the transportation with the number of pupils going down projected over the next 3 years, do you see that affecting the total cost of transportation at all?
It's possible, it might. Depending on from 1 year to the next, even if the student population stays the same, depending on how many students may be riders or walkers, not only the transportation factor fluctuate, but there may be some slight improvement or an opportunity over the next couple of years, particularly if we lose, some students to reduce that transportation running further. We have been able to next year procure and confirm with our transportation contracts. In fact, the board has already awarded at December meeting a renewal of the transportation contract at whatever the state sets as a consumer price increase. So that's a good thing for us.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question on the community service line, 155, 158. This is primarily for the summer recreation program?
Yes.
And this is self-balancing?
It is. These are the summer recreation programs and summer camps, and yes, it is summer. So there's an offsetting revenue stream in miscellaneous revenue and basic revenue part of the budget that pays for this.
How is our enrollment been?
Excellent. Strong.
Excellent. Yes, very good things. Any other questions on this page? Okay. Moving to the last page of the budget discussion for tonight, starting with employee benefits from line 160 to 172. Any board members have questions on this page?
I have a question on 160.
Mr. LaValle?
Mr. Adcock, have we considered, because the retirement system is driven by investments, and a few years ago it hurt us, and it was a big number that we had to overcome. This year it's a big, it's a bonus because there's a $3.4 million advantage with it. Can we put money in reserves for future years, some of the savings? Are we authorized to do that? Have we considered doing that?
Well, that's a great question. It's actually a question line 160. There are two retirement systems for employees that work in the school district. If you are a civil service employee, we're talking about line 160 and 161. So if you're a civil service employee, you're in the employees retirement system. And if you are a certified teacher or have certification through the New York State Education Department, you're in the teacher retirement system. With regard to the employees retirement system, the state allows you to have a reserve, and you do have a reserve for the employees retirement system. However, the state does not provide for a reserve fund for the teacher's retirement system. So certainly, I may be making a recommendation to the superintendent and the Board of Education if we had a reserve for a teacher's retirement system to put money into that. But school districts do not have the ability to have a teacher's retirement system reserve.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you just review the large increase in line 171?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to talk about that. You may recall at the end of the last fiscal year, we went to the Board of Education for a transfer into the school meal program, the school lunch fund. We have in this district an outstanding school lunch program. Both our parents love the school lunch system and program, and our kids absolutely love the school lunch program. Over the last couple of years, as a result of the implementation of very, very restrictive state and federal guidelines and requirements as it pertains to foods that schools can serve, districts from coast to coast have seen a decline in the amount of students buying lunch from the school lunch program because you can't offer some of the foods that we were able to offer in the past as a result of very restrictive guidelines. So we've seen, as many other places have, a little bit of decline in participation. So what school districts are allowed to do in the program may be running in red is school districts are permitted to make an inter-fund transfer. And in fact, based on the recommendation of myself and the superintendent, we made a transfer into the school lunch program at the end of last year. At the end of this year, I'm probably going to recommend to the superintendent, and hopefully the board will approve, a subsequent transfer into the school lunch program. And this year, for the 2015-16 school year, I'm recommending that it's an automatic thing that is put in the budget. Again, what that will do is that will sustain the school lunch program here in Massapequa. And, I can't tell you enough how much students, and you all know, benefit from this program and from the employees that work in that program, how dedicated they are to serve, not only cooking the food, right, preparing great food, but also serving the kids. And the kids really look forward to that interaction. So that's why the increase in that line is an inter-fund transfer to the school lunch program. We're budgeting. So what will happen is that in the event that it's necessary, we won't have to go to the wall that we can touch.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On line 168.
Sure. This deals with the outstanding debt that the school district has with regard to outstanding bond issues, and the reason that we've got an increase of $5,000 just has to do with the payments 1 year later, and there may be some slight reduction in interest costs associated with payments that we made. It's based on the actual payment schedule, payment schedules of the debt.
So there is no increase to the taxpayer with the current bond.
Well, we have not borrowed the money yet. We communicated the school district authorization for a $35.7 million bond in October. We probably will be borrowing a little bit later this year. What I'd like to do, I've kind of heard and keeping an eye on the Fed's raising the interest rate and talking about, May, June, possibly the interest rates going up. I want to be able to We still have Doug to that's an excellent rating as well. And scheduled the first payment for July 2016. So the first payment will be due on that in the 16-17 budget.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions from board members on this last page? Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Adcock. This is very good budgeting, and I'm pleased to see the reductions. I know the teachers' retirement system, that was a big help, but I'm really happy to see the reductions in the transportation, the utilities that keep going down, and our other decreases that we work to reduce every day. Thank you.